Drafted by the Expos in 1972, he made his major league debut in 1974. Carter's ascension was matched by that of fellow future Hall of Famers Andre Dawson and eventually Tim Raines. Montreal had a core group of talented players that made the Expos a formidable opponent. Where we were as a team, if you remember 1979, 1980, the Expos came into their own. We finished second to the We Are Family Pittsburgh Pirates in '79. We lost out to them by 2 games. If there was the wild card back then, we would have been in the playoffs. We lost to the Phillies that next year. They went on to win the World Series. We lost out to them by 1 game. And then, of course, the strike-shortened season in '81, we won the second half, beat the Phillies, and then lost to the Dodgers. And 3 of those teams went on to win the World Series, said Carter. As the Expos emerged as contenders, Carter, known by fans as the Kid, became an offensive force unparalleled among National League catchers. 1984 saw him produce his greatest season, setting a career high in hits, 175, runs batted in, 106, and batting average, 294. He had also, at the behest of Expos management, taken the extra measure of assimilating into the Montreal community. He and his wife bought a home in the city, and Carter even learned French. Now, after a decade with the team that included their only postseason stop and 7 All-Star Game appearances, Carter was compelled to ask if they no longer wanted him. Yes, replied McHale. The rumors were in fact true. Expos owner Charles Bronfman had been complaining about Carter's performance for years. Bronfman felt Carter did not give enough, even though Carter played all of 1983 with tendonitis in his left elbow, even though he could have been the National League MVP in 1984 had the Expos been in contention, even though he now lived in Montreal, had learned French, and was a fan favorite. Bronfman had even gone so far as to once tell Carter, "Whenever you get up in key situations, I go to the bathroom." Somehow the Expos' drop in the standings and their loss in attendance was Carter's fault. We finished in 5th place, so I started hearing rumblings that the front office, including Charles Bronfman, the owner, and the rest of the board of directors, were possibly interested in trading me. Or at least, that's what was filtering through the newspapers. And it got back to me, and I was asked a question. What do you think of that? Well, that's news to me. I thought I was going to be with the organization my entire career, said Carter. It was not just Bronfman who wanted him gone. Carter had worn out his welcome with his teammates. They talked behind his back about how he was always jumping in front of microphones, smiling for pictures, doing advertisements for any product under the sun. They derided him by calling him Camera Carter and Teeth. The smiling and happy-go-lucky attitude was all an act, they thought. Carter was a phony who valued his stats and camera time more than his team. After all, if they were miserable in Montreal, how could Carter possibly be genuinely happy there? Well, I just looked at it as they were jealous, and it goes without saying, you just move on. And if that's the way they felt about me, it's their own choice of words. And it's freedom of whatever they want to say, and that's fine. You know, I just took it with a grain of salt. I did get a lot more, maybe, attention and recognition, maybe, because I did commercials up in Montreal. And I had a lot of opportunities, said Carter. Hey, you try to take advantage of opportunities that exist. And when we started getting good as a team, 79, 80, those years, I had the opportunity of doing some commercials for companies like 7-Up and Chrysler and Warner Lambert and stuff like that. And I made the effort of staying up there and making myself available, of getting involved in the community and the society up there. And a lot of them were so disenchanted over the transition of living in Montreal because of the changeover in money, the taxes, the language barrier. If the team no longer wants me, thought Carter, maybe it is just better to move on. When a team doesn't want you anymore, it comes to that point in time where it's time to move on. And that's really the feeling I was getting, said Carter.